Okay, welcome very much in the audience. Welcome to Conversation. A friend of Conversations and of the world, Frank Craven, is our guest. He's an artist and comes from a long family of artistic concern within the American society, going all the way back, particularly through theater and so forth, which we can talk some apart. And he's an artist of great renown in many, many venues. He does a program here, WAHA, which is What's Ailing and Healing America, which is really, really well done and everything. He writes, he paints, and he used to write for street news articles that were very, very well done. He's a major figure in terms of understanding the human condition, improvement, and he's been down to the Wall Street occupation movement downtown and everything. We've got some footage we're going to try and play. And Frank, welcome so much to Conversations. It's a pleasure to welcome you as always.
Ta-da!
Oh, there you go.
What an intro, Harold. Thank you. I could go on glowingly about you as a historic producer of What's Ailing, Healing America, a question we have a right and duty to ask and answer as a Patriot Act in your conversations. This is an amazing situation. I'm glad to, and thank you for allowing me to once again have a conversation with you. It's such an honor because you not only do this show very professionally, but you actually put it out on YouTube and help people link to websites. And people I've introduced you to that you've talked to have told me, man, he helped me out a lot through court cases and settling things or taking things to the next level. Well, and that's what we do here at MNN. We create communication. This is the dynamics of Zuccotti Park and Liberty Plaza. It's being occupied with people standing the ground and making the difference, making the change. A couple days ago, the firemen went in there and took out the diesel motors near the tents, a fire hazard.
You've been down there
so
quite a bit.
So now they've got bicycle pedal-powered pumps to keep the generators going. So they have web streaming. And you can go there and visit NYC.
Now wait a minute, slow down a minute. You're going really fast. They've got web streaming coming from the park on a regular basis now. And there is then on the internet, let's get it straight. There's I think John Kowalski was down helping, one of our buddies here,
a lot of people.
To do that. And do you happen to know what the URL or what the link is that one goes to be streaming in on what's going on?
A lot of people are interested in working the internet and web streaming. That's our community, that's our salvation, that's transparency. That's the change we want to be, as Gandhi said. Be in the change in the world that you want to see happen. So they're thinking about putting a yurt. Here's a picture of a yurt. It's a Mongolian tent.
It's very useful in the winter.
They have, you know, food, library, everything's sort of organized in different committees. And it's a consensus, the majority through popular consensus, which is democracy in action.
I know. I think it's very wise that they do because they're going what they say horizontal. They're going out. They're not getting hung up on one issue that involves one issue of something. They're going horizontal, so they're moving out toward moving toward a systems understanding of what's going on in order to address what's happening in a very large rather than a highly focused or specialized one issue. And I think that's a good and wise course for the movement to take.
Right.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
They're making, going to hopefully get a greenhouse, grow their own food, compost their own waste, and create a wonderful, biodegradable, off-the-grid, sustainable thing. Greenpeace has donated solar panels. This is an example of what Bucky Fuller told us in Utopia Oblivion years ago.
I believe Bucky
Or Nikola Tesla told us 100 years ago we can have free energy. And that's the basic problem, and the solution. We have eco-friendly energy versus fossil fuel pollutants. War is over, oil is over, coal is over, nuclear is over, and it's all entirely possible to live in paradise. And we're making it happen. We're demonstrating our intelligent potential.
It is. Well, why now? That would be one. But I want to get back up.
It's overdue.
Is it being the activity down there here in Wall Street? You know, it's going on in other parts of the world. Is it being streamed in real time to the internet? Do you know what the URL is? What does one do?
NYCGA.net. That stands for New York City General Assembly. And every evening at 7 p.m. they just do, you know, in consensus, they wave hello or they repeat and they decide what the issues are. And they're doing actual actions. Like on Saturday, November 7th is take away, withdraw from the Chase and Citibank and you know, the big banks that got the bailout, and go for smaller banks and credit unions, and work towards making actions happen.
But wait a minute, does General
Marching
Assembly...
to
help me out here, because you've been down. I've been busy on all kinds of things. They have a certain structure. They have a General Assembly where they meet.
OccupyWallStreetST.org is another web streaming updated website.
You're talking too fast for the people in the audience and me, right? And that one where you said that there is live streaming of the events of this movement in Wall Street, Occupy Wall Street, is now on the internet?
Yes.
Can be seen everywhere in the world.
It's been seen since the get-go. And there's Vaz, and there's a few other people that are coming in from all over the world that are web streaming and cranking out information, and very excited because we're at the heart of the matter. We're like protesting in front of the Pentagon as the Code Pink did, in front of the White House, stopping the war. This is stopping the corporate capitalist greed machine that is just running amok and serving themselves, promoting themselves, and not helping justice and truth prevail.
One thing again. Is there, like you have a thing called C-SPAN that shows you the Congress, and that is on a regular basis?
Yeah.
You can get it. Is there a regular site that one could go to get from Occupy Wall Street, in front of Wall Street, down in New York City, that could be available to people around the world at any time to be brought in on what's going on?
Absolutely. Yes, and there is actually a magic word nowadays, Harold, that everyone knows and is very excited about and turns everyone into a wizard. It's called Google. You want to know something, you just Google it nowadays, and all of a sudden, boom, you can get a whole series of changes in websites and streaming and abilities. And as you Google Occupy Wall Street, New York City, you'll get various websites. But what we can definitely tune into is NYCGA. .net.
Okay. NYCGA.net.
That stands for the General Assembly. Yes. And then there's the Occupy Wall Street, ST.org.
What's ST?
OCUUPY in Wall Street. It's just Occupy Wall Street. It's a website for them. And their activities, the committees, the statements, the conversations, the chat.
And that's being done now. So we ought to get that way so people could be brought in on that.
Yeah, we have to support it. We have to love it. It's very exciting. The fundamental changes. Bloomberg, please get on board with it. Everybody, the governors, this is the eco-friendly energy alternative that's going to make us into a better place. And
let me
there are Iraqi veterans against the war, and a lot of people standing ground like warriors in a vision quest all night long in the rain. Why are they doing that?
I know. We want to keep it going and do everything we can to keep it going. Let me just back off a little bit and fill me in and everything. We had that thing in Egypt, right? Tahrir Square.
Tahrir Square.
Was that
January 25th to February 11th, 2011.
That was reported on news and that sort of thing. There was that kind of thing.
We got Mubarak out. We stood our ground against bullets and tanks.
Yeah.
And the soldiers turned around. And like here, the police too are turning around. They know they don't want to be soldiers against their own people.
Right.
We're not going to have that bloodshed. But if there is going to be bloodshed, it'll just keep getting stronger and stronger and stronger because we are the people. We are what the government's supposed to represent us.
Okay, but in Tahrir Square, when they were doing that in Egypt, when it was leading up to it, like it gets started, was there a site like NYC General Assembly that people could go to and see it everywhere in the world at that time being streamed? Was there that?
No, they shut down the internet. There was a, Democracy Now! Had good footage, and then, Al Jazeera, that was a danger.
It's one thing for Amy to get some footage or you to get some, and you got some great, we want to show it and everything. What I'm saying is there a site where people could go on a regular basis, or they could see it in Argentina, they could see it in Spain, and there could be a site.
That's the idea of the World Wide Web.
Is that existing now?
Yes.
Is there a site for it so there can be communication of what's going on there? And maybe it would be thought of as, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the ability to do that, that's very interesting to me that exists. I didn't realize that, right? And so we'd want to do everything we could to have it continue and not be short-sighted. There have been people who've tried to make revolution against the powers that be for a long time.
Forever.
A couple people come to mind.
We're fighting Tammany Hall, corruption at City Hall.
Or you can go back.
It's an ongoing fight. You can go, authority versus majority.
You can go back to some of our
royal family sends the peon off to war to fight rich my kingdom.
It's always been like that, hasn't it? Hasn't it always been? But we had Spartacus, right? Spartacus made a slaves' revolution against the empire that was overwhelmingly powerful.
But it's
Jesus was one who made a thing against the empire. Much of it was there. So we have martyrs over the history. Others, there are many martyrs we could have that stood up to the power.
Time of martyrs is over. We don't need any more. Poor martyrs in Afghanistan and Iraq that died innocently.
Yeah.
Had nothing to do with 9/11.
Yeah, but you'll
never
notice.
forget the pet goat shows. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, I
It's
know.
a construct by these evil knuckleheads that think they want to steer into a war profit industry.
But there've been people who've been protesting all along, and usually what happens is they protest and then they either get co-opted or beaten down, and the world still is unjust in its fundamental order and so forth. You'll notice.
Well, there's chaos that rules incessantly because as we grow, we expand. And then we're a crowded world. We're going to step on each other's toes, but eventually we're going to even it out because we're in a balancing act. I'm going to share with you a painting I got recently.
Wait, let me hold it, okay? I can hold it up.
Oh, you want to read it? Just read the title.
Okay, well, let me try. Can you get in on this, Frank? I mean, in the studio? And let me see, I can read.
It says, gray matter.
Yeah. Gray matter, the majority content of our are they able to get this or not? Which camera? Which camera? Here?
Yeah.
Oh, he's coming. He's going to put it on this camera. Okay, and then I can read it. Okay.
Art is fun. We got to take an art break, you know. Take a little. There we go. There's a tight shot of it.
Okay, and I'll read. Gray matter, the majority content of our subatomic molecular structure, period. The space between the neurons, protons, and electrons makes up the binding nexus of our physical matter. ... Our, quote, body, unquote, is actually mostly an invisible field of light with a whole lot going on inside the microcosm of being. That's from what? Is that your words or is that something?
Yeah, that's the title of this painting. Here, let's talk about pullback. See,
okay.
I just explained it to you. It's the idea that we're making geometric patterns. You know, mental physical axis, gyrating, yin and yang, negative, positive polarity, energy field, and in the subatomic molecular structure, in between the protons and the neutrons is space.
Yeah.
That's the majority content of the molecule of the atom. And so we are light bodies, we're energy. And what's happening, there's a galactic alignment coming down in 2012 where the planetary grid of the universe is lining up, and there's Earth is ascending. And all of us as human replicas of the situation are turning into a new paradigm of consciousness, like it or not. And that's why people are standing their ground all over and standing up to their own divine power, knowing that we are awakening. Like the Vision Quest, the native people go 3 days and 3 nights without food and water in their spot till they see their vision of God, the Creator, and they come away with their knowledge. And this is proving a person's mettle. So that's why this Occupy Wall Street is more than just a protest rally. It's a very exciting movement of the revolution that is long overdue.
We hope.
Well, it is.
Yeah, there have been other
examples. There's no hope, it is.
There have been others, and we've had a
No hope, no Obama. No, we used to have Johnny Cash, and, you know, and Bob Hope, and Steve Jobs. Now there's no hope, no cash, no jobs. No, you know, I'm just saying that it's ridiculous. It's not going away. It's reality. It's awakening consciousness.
You were talking about 2012. That I think of that as relating to a Mayan view of things, a Mayan calendar and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the Mayan calendar.
But there's been others who've done that and everything.
Right.
Do you think there is some monumental event? And you were talking about the universe and all that. So that's going, what we said before, they're going horizontal. They're not going on one issue like nuclear energy or this or that or one issue which divides and conquers and everything. What they're doing in this strict, if I understand, with their General Assembly and everything, what they're doing, it's very wise. They're going very inclusive. So they're going out to be including more and more and more things, which means it's harder and harder for somebody to get a bead on them in terms of one issue that they can be
No, it's simple. The idea is what's right versus what's wrong. War is wrong, torture is wrong, bailing out billionaires is wrong. And everyone's got to have fair, equal transparency and understanding the truth. The truth is, forgive the student loans and their debt, you know, and they don't foreclose on people's homes. Instead, these bandits make off with mega bonuses and outsource jobs, and they're
They've always made off with mega bonuses.
No, well, it's all, that's ridiculous.
No, but that's the history. James Joyce, a great poet, said that, Frankie. Yeah, he said history is a nightmare. You could add of injustice. There's never been justice for the mass. It's always been a few plutocratic people, whether it's Rome or kings of England.
No. That's why the indigenous tribes have survived thousands of years. The native people knew how to take care of their clan and share the hunt with everyone. And the future generations were concerned, were preoccupied. That's where we're going to come back to the indigenous perspective and think about our future generations and work with this eco-friendly energy on the planet. It's very simple. Now island of Hierro in the Canaries of Spain has eco-friendly energy. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's a very beautiful place that is now going to growing hurricanes and a lava flow and a volcanic eruption. Mother Earth is pointing to it, and there's tragedy going there. But they have perpetual energy that's eco-friendly because they harness the tides, and then they bring the salt water up to the top of the mountain, and they convert it into sweet water, and with turbines they generate perpetual ongoing electric for the whole town, and it's an eco-friendly, healthy, free way. And
well,
it's just as a model for the rest of the world. That Nikola Tesla had clear, and then Bucky Fuller had clear, and the world has clear, and there's a lot of wonderful off-the-grid, self-sustaining earth homes that are springing up, not only learning from the ancient traditions, but using the modern techniques of how to construct things and work with eco-friendly energy and waste matter to make it to our happy home. Like, you could take a plastic bottle and fill it with distilled water and bleach, a little bleach, and it'll become a incandescent light bulb inside a tin hut, you know, half in, half out. The light hits it, and it illuminates the shack, and they don't need electricity. And there's you can take your waste, your feces and your urine, put sawdust or hay over it, and let it compost. After it heats up and it turns down the nerves of microbes and all that stuff, and then it turns into, after a couple of years, it is very good, rich soil that is. That helps makes for nutritious planting.
Yeah, they've done
That's how Asia has always worked to feed millions of people.
Yeah.
But we use pesticides, herbicides, and we've ruined our soil, and we created false food, and they're trying to put this genetically modified, which is blasphemous.
Seeds.
Yeah, that's Monsanto. There's the devil. They mess with God's genetic engineering. That's completely. And then this a couple days ago, before Halloween, we had this freak snowstorm. That was right when on occupied Wall Street, we were going to have all the anti-GMOs and natural food farmers come by and make a scene for real good natural food. Maybe they used their harp twang and created a freak storm to flesh us out, because these people are monsters. They think they can play with God, and they can bomb the moon, and they can genetically alter people and clone and bomb Iraq and Afghanistan. Sacred World Heritage Sites are their cannon fodder. In 9/11, I'm in perpetual mourning. Our friend Celeste Victoria, she had to decide whether to jump 80 stories or fry to a crisp. 3,000 neighbors died on September 11th, and our Bill of Rights was shredded, and our New World Order agenda to roll over Iraq went into place. I'm sorry, steel doesn't burn, concrete doesn't burn, it smelts, it turns to lava, and disappear in 10 seconds. I mean, obviously it was bombed by bombing experts for a bombing agenda, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, and there's no need to even discuss it, and I laugh at anyone who wants to talk about it with doubt, or because it's a very painful wound, but so what? I'm in mourning. I was invited to Lloyd and Touche that morning. I could have been there to have a power breakfast meeting for free. 7:30, 8:30, they had this power breakfast meeting, September 11th, 2001. But thank God I didn't go. And the day before that, Donald Rumsfeld announces $1 trillion loss at the Pentagon. That would have been headline throughout the week, but of course 9/11 ate up the headlines. And it's funny how the accounting department, the Pentagon, that's where the missile went in. With the trajectory of the quote-unquote plane could have gone in right to Rumsfeld's office, but no, they went around the back. That was under construction, and they killed the accounting office that would have looked into this $1 trillion loss that somehow they stole or misplaced. And it's also interesting to note that George Bush Sr. spent the night at the White House that night. What is he doing there? His son is reading The Pet Goat in kindergarten, so you never forget the pet goat. The idea is that he's supposedly out of the loop. But the goat is the symbol of the devil, the self-inflicted wound to roll over Iraq and Afghanistan and test off their bombs, because bombs have an expiration date. They have a shelf life. They're contracting. So you invested in Halliburton in 2002, it was like $12 a share. And then in the 2003 after invasion, it was $80 a share. And Cheney has his fingerprints all over all the Halliburton stuff, helmets, shovels, nonsense, inflated prices. This is gouging and graft at its worst level, and he endorses torture and everything. And this man is sick, and he needs to be retired or, but arrested. These criminals that are neocon cabal, anyone who signed on the PNAC document, the Project for New American Century, signed on their own death warrant by killing innocent people and shredding the Bill of Rights, and we want our country back, and we're getting it back. And Zuccotti Plaza, Liberty Plaza is where we stood with 9/11 truthers and then we stand, and the spirit of those that are missing, that you are remembering 343 firemen, God bless them, didn't sacrifice themselves to create a new world order. They wanted a freedom and justice for all.
How far can we go back on that horizontal plane? You laid out a whole bunch of different things. It's all, 9/11 truth and all of that, and ecological Tesla. That's a lot of issues.
That's the main thing. Eco-friendly energy versus fossil fuel pollutants. It's mountaintop removal, coal, oil, nuclear, it's all over and contaminating the planet. Yep. When we have wind, hydropower, solar power, geothermal, electromagnetics, making a beautiful world. And we have the intelligence and technology and know how to do it. The government is stuck in the mud with this old, money concept, chase of their pseudo fame and fortune. And
we were talking about going horizontal, being more and more inclusive of what's going on in terms of our existence in universe. And you highlighted a whole lot of different kinds of takes on a dialectic of what is the right thing as opposed to the wrong and that kind of stuff and everything. But how far can we go in terms of inclusiveness? How far back in history do we go? Is it necessary to get in touch with elemental physics of the universe? Do we go and become very inclusive in order to try and get at a pattern of everything that is really relevant in terms of the transformation we're talking about? Or are we just arranging the deck chairs on the Titanic or on the, you know what I'm saying, on the old order? Are we at a time, and how far back do we go? You were saying about the native people. We were nested in nature for most of our existence as a species.
And how do they survive? They learn how to respect nature.
Is there any reason to go back, let's say, beyond the Enlightenment? That set the pattern for all the world systems that are set up, the systems that are in place.
We're just beginning the Enlightenment now. We're starting to become enlightened when we recognize the wisdom of the ancient elders, the native people, the first people of the planet, that have been able to survive many generations throughout harsh weather conditions.
Terrible.
And we need that respect, that inherent sense of what's right versus what's wrong.
Well, now, why does it make it so respectful?
Television mind controls us, keeps us in a consumer society, materialistic mentally, caught in a cycle of debt. And this debt is, In Debt We Trust, as Danny Schechter has that movie out.
Great film, that one, Before Plunder, it was good. Yeah, Danny's good. Yeah.
So they keep the wheel spinning.
But now you're limiting it to the present. You're limiting it to the news. You're limiting. That's what I'm saying. You're limiting. You want to limit to something and find the bad guy and all that. It's tradition. That's what's in the news. That's what's in the political thing. The good guys, bad guys, all that. What I'm trying to say is how inclusive can we get in terms of understanding what's going on? And
well, we are enlightened. We're in our ascension process.
What do you mean we're enlightened?
We are Christ. We are Buddha. We are Krishna. We are Muhammad. We are the great spiritual master teachers. Kuan Yin, grace. We are the Zen masters. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the wisdom keepers of ancient times, the Akashic record, which holds all knowledge and we have access to, and the future awareness of what's to forecome. We actually are prophets, and we have total power, except we don't accept it or want it. We just keep glued to the TV and let the sportscaster do the thinking for us.
Speaking of the TV,
we're so worried about the $1 million football player who has an injury in his hamstring versus the millions of people that are dying in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Pakistan through drones and the poor guys in Guantanamo, innocently arrested and being tortured. This is ridiculous. So we're in a ridiculous time.
I'm trying to get you to slow down, brother.
Keep us stupid instead of smart.
About your looking at things. I'm trying to get you to think of it in terms of a qualitative transformation. There, Brian Greene, a string theory guy, was on Nova last night. It was really good. He had a very program about string theory, and among other things, he's talking about black holes and talking about a real quality. Do we go to the nature of the universe? Do we go?
Yes.
Is it necessary to get back to the beginning of the Homo sapiens spirit? Are we coming to, instead of a political change, as we're thinking of, are we coming to a thing where we might be talking about a species change?
Yeah.
That the change in the relationship of this evolutionary process of which we are a part is coming to a new relationship out of history. 200,000 years we've been there. We got some knowledge. We know the genome now. We're gaining more knowledge all the time, more inclusive. We're understanding physics in a new way. We had Newton, then we get Einstein, then we get,
Michio Kaku.
Brian Greene, and that is string theory. Do we have to go out to the limits of things in order to be inclusive in that, if we're going to be truly systems rather than all the special case, that would be called, issues that come up, because everything you could go into gets very, very dialectic and strung out in terms of the news about who's right and wrong. And how far back do we go? And what makes this time different than any other time, if that is in fact the case in terms of this moment? Or is it just another step in history, and it'll be another long slog up Mount Sisyphus, you know, with the people who are being oppressed, the people who have been oppressed all throughout history practically? Are we getting to a point, and what are some of the markers that would make this a time of qualitative transformation, not quantitative transformation in a historical pattern? That's what I'm trying to get to, not who's the bad guy.
Well, the third dimensional collective of stupidity will continue, and karma will continue. So that is the will of the people, because it is a free will universe. But the enlightenment of the people to make us all connected to our divine wisdom and know that we all are free.
You said that free. You said by the universe and by the nature of the universe, we're free. You make an assumption as though that's an absolutist thing. All your creation stories. No, all your creation stories. We could talk it about a little different. You had all the people who had creation stories because we had a self-reflective consciousness. 4 million years ago, there was no Homo sapien. There was Australopithecine. We were contained in Australopithecine. Put it in a time frame. We get a sense. We have to have we have the ability to understand. Ask the question: what's it all about? Self-reflective consciousness. We had to create creation stories.
Okay.
The Eskimos have one about a bear sitting on an ice cake because that's their environment. Or the Jews or the Christians. They all have creation stories, and there's nothing absolute. It's synergetic. Well, we don't know that any of the creation stories are true. They can't be put out there as stories that are divinely given, like Louis XIV wanted to do, saying it's divinely given. Is it divinely given that the bankers should run the world, and the people who are plutocrats and ruling everything, like the ruling class is always, you know, they did it in Rome?
They don't run my world. They don't run the world of people standing in Liberty Plaza. They don't run the person who stands up for what's right versus what's wrong.
You make these statements about right, wrong, and we're right, they're wrong. It's the same old baloney that we've had out of all of history.
Granted, there are many missing and tortured and unfairly incarcerated people by the system, and the man is very ruthless and will continue to eat at us.
Always has been.
Yeah.
Has it always been? He said, James Joyce said, let's say history is a nightmare.
Now, which I'm trying to awaken.
From which I'm attempting to awaken, yes, and it may be true. Is there something on that order? Rather than just another step up the mountain Sisyphus along the historical pattern, understanding the news, we're just going to make a thing. We had a Second World War. Are there some signals of something that makes this time unique?
Yes.
Isaac Asimov said that in a program. He said
Gerald,
this is... Frank,
Harold,
he
please.
said this is the defining generation. You're not going to get at it at all the pointing about this absolute truth, that absolute truth. The tribes that were going are nested in nature. Most of historical human existence on this, but we were nested in nature. We were living at one with nature. That's not some great thing necessarily, because we got civilization. We got new
civilization is good. And we have crop circles that teach us. We have high math. We have intelligent beings like Tesla and Buckminster Fuller and many others that are coming out of the woodwork all over, communicating solutions to the problems we've inherited.
Yeah, but now, if some people think they have the solution, a lot of people will have the solution. If only they listen to my formula, everything will be solved. A lot of people in the political process think that. But these people, what this movement is not going that way. They're going horizontal, more and more toward a comprehensive understanding, a systems understanding of things that gets at the really big pattern, not one of the little special case things that's being argued about, like solar energy or this energy or whatever. These kind of things that are brought up as absolute truths.
There's no argument.
Okay, yeah?
Steel doesn't burn, concrete doesn't burn. There's no argument.
Well,
eco-friendly energy versus fossil fuel pollutants.
Okay.
Torture is wrong, war is wrong. There's no argument. People standing their ground at Liberty Plaza need food, need shelter, porta potties. There's no argument. What there is a bunch of knuckleheads pushing a stupid agenda trying to make us play football instead of work with reality. Reality is that we're in a lousy deal by criminals in the government.
Well,
but
you want to
Bush,
get back
you
to
see,
the
he's the #1 terrorist, unfortunately.
#1 terrorist.
Yeah, yeah.
Mr. Bush,
and his dad, New World Order, and Kissinger. These people are war criminals that will go to jail because they have obviously fostered war and crime, which is collective insanity.
Well, weren't they doing that in the Roman Empire? Spartacus,
we're not in the Roman Empire. We're modern times with satellite communication. We know the DNA. We've mapped the gene code.
Now you're getting,
we've walked on the moon. We split the atom. We understand everything.
Okay.
The truth is now.
Wonderful.
We can web stream out of my Dick Tracy. Is not a comic strip. I can web stream off my cell phone.
I know.
Now.
I was trying to get you to look that way.
It's a new time.
No, but when you say you're going horizontal, that would mean you also get back into the larger understanding of things that this knowledge that we have now is. That's part of what makes this time different than all of history. That's the point I'm trying to get
Besides
at.
the planetary alignment and the universal celestial alignment, as predicted by the ancient ones, not only in Egypt, but in Mexico and other places that bring out the knowledge of the stars and the way the planet's working, and we are lining up.
Yeah, but there's nothing particularly necessary.
So we should breathe deep and stretch,
but Frank,
yoga, and just natural food, and fast more, and be connected and ready to receive this light energy that we're awakening to.
Well, okay, we're awakening to it. What I'm trying to get at is, why now?
Why not?
No.
Mankind's been asleep for a long time.
And you just brush over it. Spartacus tried to make a thing, tried to make a revolution. Jesus had things to say about take care of the least among you. It's ignored. Da Vinci was happy to the Medicis because he made a siege machine so they could have control, steal the grain, make themselves strong, their tribe, fight realpolitik. It still rules in the world of this world. That's the way it is. We can go out and we've got the military capability to extend our power. We're the power. Those principles are also there in the news every day. They're all there. So what do we do? How do we repair to it? Where do we go in order to get some sort of a collective understanding, a systems understanding of what makes this time, what's his name? Isaac Asimov said, this is the defining generation in 10,000 generations. Think that way.
Okay, where we go is to the Epifaneo Collective on 56 Walker Street, where Lenny put INN
Yeah, I
News.
hear that. Tell me about it.
And it's the Epifaneo Collective, Les Jameson, and I used to hang out at Ground Zero for 9/11 on September 11th. On Saturdays, 911truth.org. I have art there. I have like 8 paintings there. And Pray for Iraq, and Never Forget the Pet Goat, and various other epiphany paintings. Epifaneo in Spanish means epiphany.
Yeah.
To see the subatomic molecular structure happening is an epiphany that we are divine energy created, a miracle.
Divine, now you do it.
You've got 1 trillion cells working in harmony to make your body work. The fact that you're a living, breathing human being is a miracle.
What are you trying to put?
You're a spirit that's
incarnated. Are you trying to put forth something for God? Which God is it? The Mormon God, the Christian God, the Jewish God, the Aztec God, where they tore out people's hearts? Which God are you trying to bring forth as being divinely giving you authority to talk about what the reality is, as opposed to trying to be comprehensively, systematically, scientifically understanding the moment in which we live? Why do you want to avoid that in order to try and be on the side of the good guys?
Please, Harold.
Okay.
I have a book that's published. It's on Amazon.com. It's called 2 Comedies on God. God in quotation marks.
Oh, that's right.
I don't know what God is, but I've staged a couple of plays poking fun at this religious concept. Right versus righteous, you know, the spirituality
versus... Well, that's what I'm trying to poke fun at you for bringing it up with alarming... It's divine this, it's divine that, and it's good, and torture, and all of this.
Okay, I have a belief system in the Almighty Creator and the world of spirit that maybe you don't. That's fine. But I remember when we were in the medicine wheel upstate, I put in your hand a dead stick and a live worm. And they looked the same, but the living worm was moving, had spirit in it, invisible energy that made it alive.
Yeah,
and
but we can understand why
the spirit had gone from it, so the tree wasn't alive anymore.
Well, it took a long time.
Spirit is what moves everything. Energy is spirit. We are spiritual beings incarnated, borrowing a body. At this exciting time of evolutionary consciousness, it's an intergalactic party. Everyone's really excited about the ascension of humanity and the Earth itself.
Well, okay, that's interesting. I know one thing that you think, let me ask you, do you think there's been regularity, people questioning authority figures de jour, they go back and forth in a political pattern and all that, and there are people saying, on all the wisdom schools, they take account of the least among you, take care of the poor, take care of the sick, take care of the homeless, and they don't.
Well, I do. You do.
No,
we like to be.
system.
We are individuals.
The system
like Mother
doesn't.
Teresa, you know, the Vatican always poo-poos St. Francis of Assisi, and I'm a real good saint, a real good Christian who follows Christ's example, who gave us sermons on the desert, on the street, not just in the synagogue. Wherever you gather, there you are, and in the name of love. And everything's love, and that's what it's about. So these egomaniacs who make lots of money and are focused on the material world, the multi-billionaires, they're a moral crime to be a billionaire. And these people have lost perspective on reality. And reality is the truth will prevail and the lies will fail.
The truth is a big thing, and the truth is synergetic. And the universe is synergetic. It's behavioral systems unpredicted by the sum of the parts through time. There's something more. 4 million years ago, we were contained in Australopithecine. They were walking around. They weren't us. And then we were destined to appear. So 1,000 years ago, we had this, and there's time to think. And there's a thing where there is in evolution, we finally get to where we understand how the evolutionary process got started within a material world. They went from the precursors to DNA, to RNA, and so forth, and the organic evolution got started, so we can understand evolution in an organic, scientific way, not stories that help fill the void of our trying to understand those larger issues. We get to that point, and now we get to the point, and what is their characteristic about this time in the evolutionary process and the extension of consciousness that technology is that makes this different than all of history?
That we are communicating that on February 15, 2003, there was a worldwide protest against Bush and the invasion of Iraq. And again, we've had Hands Across America years ago, and we believe in we are the world, the coming together of people.
John Lennon.
The YouTube, imagine the world coming together. And the Olympics, they love it. That's a feeling that the world comes together to see the best sports and have the best, and sing and joy and dance. And this is what we want. We have eco-friendly energy versus fossil fuel pollutants. We have the solution. We have freedom. And what happened with Libya, unfortunately, was a construct on a NATO game, Pentagon game. The people in Libya were happy. He had a socialist. Muammar Gaddafi had the Green Book, and people, diplomats and other people I know lived there, said it was cool. It wasn't like this whole thing was another NATO exercise or military exercise to gain the oil and water and rob the people.
He'll be martyred and everything, and so was Jesus.
Unfortunately, his fate of being beaten up and killed is what's probably going to happen to these knuckleheads, even though because they're afraid of it. But it should happen to them. Unfortunately, no violence should happen to anybody.
Thank you.
Of course not. But these people are real murdering lunatics, and they have to, stop their bad malfeasance.
Well, that's where that's the real order of things. Well, okay, so we got this thing jumping up. You could call it anarcho. It just happened this autumn. Maybe it got inspired by Tyre or Egypt or something like that.
It's but all time of growth and
then also
change
2008, the system fell apart. It seemed to be coming to the end of an order that's been in place since about 1776 when they made the American Revolution and they set up the
we just take it to the next level. We find our founding fathers' ideals of freedom and justice for all should go to the next level and be exercised. A constitutional law, a constitutional right. We are sovereign beings. We are free.
Well, they got that. Do you see John Locke? And you understand.
Paul and Gloria is doing a lot of investigation into that with Joe Barton's case. And they definitely have got a sense of what's right versus what's wrong. We have to stand up for our rights.
Well,
this country was born on a revolution, and I'm proud of it. I love this country. I'm a patriot. That's why I do my show every Friday. I want to get the truth out there. We're in the time of John F. Kennedy's assassination, November 22nd. I remember it well. It was 1963, November 22nd. God bless him.
Yeah, I remember.
We were in shock, and it was like, and Warren Commission, whitewashed the truth. The trajectory of the criminal bullet shot his head backwards, so it didn't come from the behind.
Well,
and who was on the Warren Commission? Gerald Ford, unelected, who immediately pardoned Nixon, and his chief of staff was Dick Cheney. So there's a long history of obfuscation of the truth by this warmonger who was Secretary of Defense during the 1991 Persian Gulf War, Air Force holiday, Turkey shoot, Basra Road massacre.
That's right.
That Colin Paul has to answer to and go to jail for.
And it's
surrendering soldiers massacred is a shame, mark of shame, and to bomb Iraq and Afghanistan is a terrible shame. I pray for Iraq. This is the painting, pray for Iraq. I make posters and give it out, and I want people to pray for Iraq.
Yeah, 500,000.
This is what we can do as Americans, and it's our right as as artists, as free thinkers, as spiritual beings, to stand up for what's right versus what's wrong.
Yeah, okay, what's right and wrong. That's the thing.
Oh,
Okay.
killing innocent people is wrong.
Yeah, right, okay.
Bombing, tis terrorism. War is collective insanity. We can learn to live together. There's enough food for everyone. You see these.
No, wait a minute.
These
Wait a minute.
neocons think there's not enough for everyone. They're worried about population control.
No, the whole system is.
But there is enough food for everyone.
No, not food.
If we organize ourselves.
With all due respect, you want to be horizontal again, not focusing on one thing, okay? Because there's all these issues out of history, and you're focusing on one thing. You throw
Our
out a little
survival,
bit.
Harold. The Iroquois nation are clear. We think of the seventh generation. We borrow this land from our future children. We don't inherit it from our ancestors. We respect life. Period.
Well, there's different systems. The Aztecs did it where they cut out the people's hearts.
Well, those,
and things
yeah,
like that. Anyway, never
primitive.
mind. But the thing is, right? You go like you put all that stuff out, and the thing is that what is there about now? Oh, what makes this a time when there can be a fulfilling? You throw out a thing like, "There's always been enough food," or "There's always been enough." You throw that out. You throw that out.
Well, we have intelligence to walk on the moon and split the atom. Don't you think we have the intelligence to organize ourselves and pull it together?
No, collectively as an organism.
We just have to work at it.
You're going horizontal, brother, not into all the if you want to list all the evils that have happened in the world, you could go on forever. You could fill a book bigger than Gibbon's Fall in the Roman Empire. You know, there's evil, terrible things, good things, terrible. All that, you go on like that. But I mean, the thing is, you get down to a point where, you know, there's something culminating in all of that. You say, like, for instance, you throw that out to say that we have the ability to extend our consciousness and make the world different in an Eden-like sense.
So
but
we're doing it.
The assumption you
Thank
throw
you,
out
Gandhi.
is
Thank you, Martin
there's
Luther
always
King.
enough food. Why is there's always been, okay, that's true. We came out of the cave, all the natural resources were here, weren't they?
Yep.
Copper, oil, water, everything was here.
And the chief of the tribe was the one who made sure everyone was fed.
Well, there wasn't
and
a
he
tribe.
stood his ground and protected them. And that's why he was a chief. He had organic respect.
Well, we don't know very well what it was. It was about 200,000 years ago. They were wandering, probably being prey to the cats who
We
could
remember.
run
Our
faster.
soul has memory. We're recycled energy, Harold. We've been here before. We're all one. We're all connected. Think in terms of God. Get outside the box and think in terms of what the Almighty Creator, who's infinite and divine, has. And there's no end. There's no time. There's no beginning, no end. So we, as energy that's divine, in eternity, we're just playing out this game on Earth.
Well, that's another vast assumption about reality in a large pattern that all kinds of people have tried to put upon our understanding from the wisdom schools. But what we're able to
I'm comfortable with that concept. It may or may not be correct. I don't know. And to give them, I don't know everything or anything, but I've come to terms with my spirituality and sense of what's right versus what's wrong, and I'm devoted to having fun and bring healing through the arts and writing and music and whatever I can to make this a better planet.
Yeah, you're
plant our own food, you know.
Okay, I'm intrigued by the fact that one of the questions you went over so quickly is, I think that there has been a transformation through technological capability to
Absolutely.
where for one thing, being political even. In 1962, when there was you're old enough to remember that, the Cuban Missile Crisis.
It was
they
scary.
were on
It was
the
terrible.
verge. They were on the verge of exchanging thousands of thermonuclear
We all would have had suicide and destroyed ourselves. It's ridiculous to blow off a nuclear bomb. We're reaping the results of Fukushima disaster. It's ridiculous.
You go
These
off
bombs
on
are
a
absurd.
tear. You go
They're
off
suicidal. It's called MAD, mutually assured destruction.
It was called that when you had the Soviet Union, and it was very close then and everything. And the larger point is that the leading edge of the use of the technology that's been done through good design and things that are built, intellectual capability, was to develop essentially by the political class weapon systems that gave them an advantage over another
Well, that's
tribe.
Old school. That's over.
No, that's not old school. It's
Yeah,
still
it's bullshit.
It's still
nonsense. It's ridiculous.
Absurd. Okay, it's still real.
Oh, it's still, $700 billion a year to the Department of Defense instead of housing, education, and welfare. That's why it's ridiculous. It's absurd.
It's called realpolitik. It is the basis of political science. That's the way the people of the world, and it's all predicated upon the assumption.
This fear, the Pentagon will never have enough money because their whole foundation is fear and paranoia.
Well, why do you joke it off? It is.
I joke it because it's a cruel joke they play on themselves.
No, it's real.
I live in freedom.
That's what
I live in peace.
That's what operates the spaceship Earth. earth is realpolitik.
No.
Whoever's got the Gatling gun
we're guided by love
can control
or
the
fear.
other.
And fear rules the roost because we have to survival. We have prey-predator survival going on here.
Yeah.
And, you know, the authorities supposedly supposed to protect us against the harsh elements and the predators out there. So what's going on is we have communication and transparency and boardroom web streaming and accountability now. It's going to get rid of the old school of the hackneyed multi-billionaires and royal families
Why
that think
could
they
that-
have a
why-
right to rule the majority.
Why should that
No,
be the
it's
case?
over, 'cause
when
we're evolving. We're
why
growing
should
into
that
a
be the
reality.
case? Why should that be the case now? You say something's going to happen now that has never been.
It's happening.
It was all.
We're
It was
communicating. We're understanding each other. We're
we
exercising
don't
our
know.
brain.
We don't know.
Go down
where-
to Zuccotti Park and you have a conversation.
All right, we
get
want
out
to
of
get
the
to,
TV.
and we want to show
Start
a piece
thinking.
we want to
Hold
show
up a sign.
we want to
Write
get
something.
We want to get a picture. We want to see if we can get. We're getting toward the end.
Oh, you
but-
want to take a cutaway
Well,
to this
it's
video?
hard to
by
get
me?
a word in edgewise, but anyway, the thing is that we're getting to the point where it's always been. At least we don't know very well when we're hunting and gathering and wandering around. We don't know very well I mean, in terms of scientific plane. Ashley Montague writes, well, a lot of the things you could understand might be in, but then when you get to Neolithic, you get civilization, you get accumulated surplus, you get politics, you get into the modern world. And it's always been a few who ran everything. They called them pharaohs, they called them sun gods, they called them all kinds of things, taking all kinds of spiritual ideas to give them political power, to build an army that could go and conquer the other, steal the grain, become powerful, extend their tribe and their view of reality, and it still rules. It's now the United States of America, largely leading that, or their model from 1776.
Well, the model of empire is over. New World Order is over. We don't need this neocon cabal's mindset that we have to have bases everywhere. Let's go with Cynthia McKinney and the whole idea of let's have truth and accountability and turn the bases into gymnasium culture centers for the people and let's just relax. Relax our grip instead of being a dictator.
Well, if it's so easy, Frank.
Muscle, macho man, enough testosterone.
If it's so...
It's feminine. It's time for feminine energy. It's a time for women and love and nurturing to rule the world.
If it is so the case like that, what makes this different than all of history?
Mother Earth has shifted her energy.
Why?
From male to female.
Well, okay, that's another.
It's a new energetic field of consciousness.
I can't go on with this thing.
People are peacefully communicating.
Now, you were down. Let's talk. Okay, let's agree.
War is over. John and Yoko had it clear 40 years ago.
Well, it's not over. We just killed a guy over in Libya. We just are still.
It's over for anyone who's enlightened, anyone who thinks, anyone who opens their heart, their mind, they recognize that it's barbaric and primitive.
What they'll do is you shoot you down.
War is terrible.
If you do that, they'll shoot you down. They'll shoot you down.
Yeah, no, they're not going to shoot me down.
Let's stop. Because what not stop the program, but we're going to stop because you were down. And obviously, at least in my view, I really think that thing, I really hope and pray that the Wall Street occupation, questioning everything in a large pattern, will grow and grow and grow and not be co-opted.
No.
Not be co-opted and not be beaten down.
It's going to evolve. It's going to take shape.
No, wait a
minute.
It's not so simple that it will. It will be because it never has been able to. You've been able to achieve something, but they've never been able to.
It's transparency, it's communication, it's consensus of the majority. Right. Now, it's like let's agree on certain issues and let's move. Let's do actions.
Okay. Now the thing is that you were down there and it's growing now. It's going to other. They had a general strike going. They have to disrupt the whole system. They have to expand.
We have to evolve the system. We don't have to stop. We don't have to strike. We have to go to the next level and work with intelligence and benevolence instead of stupidity and greed.
Humanity has to go to the next level.
It is.
To do that, you can't go off on rants like you're doing with all kinds of special case ideas of what the truth is. You got to start thinking comprehensive. And what we ought to do is support that.
Right.
Support the fact that this thing is occurring now.
Thank God.
Don't let them beat him down. They went out in Oakland and they came with 300 police with guns and they beat that guy. They did it. And the people came back.
We're a bellicose society. Mankind likes his testosterone and improve his machismo. But that silliness is over. It's ridiculous. There's no need to fight. There's no need to understand
why doesn't
what the
everybody
problem
go home
is
and make
solution.
Why, if they need to rebel, if that's part of the thing, potential integrity that's involved in the physics of the universe and so forth, why don't they just go home and say everything's fine, we'll make apple pie and have a nice day? And they're not. They're rebelling.
Right.
It's rebelling across the world. That the system, large system that's taken as legitimate, historically legitimate, is not legitimate, that something new is there in a new way, and you can't be just writing it off.
I wouldn't call it rebellion. It's sort of like standing up for what's right versus what's wrong. And like if you're living a family and your husband or your daddy beats you, you got to stop and say, no, stop that. Stop abusing me.
You're going back to you're focusing on the good and the bad. One of the things is you were down there.
Yeah.
So we want to support.
I go there often. It's beautiful.
We want to support and give as much support, and the citizens should give as much support to the people who are doing this as possible. Get them blankets, get them tents, get them support, get them. They're communicating.
And take part in the conversation
so that it doesn't get co-opted or beaten down. A true revolution.
It is our time to wake up and stand up.
Now, the more that happens, you see.
Peaceful. We're demonstrating that the police are the belligerent ones. They're the ones that pepper spraying. They're the ones that fencing off and billy clubbing and forcing.
Right.
We have a right to assemble. We have a right to communicate. We have a right to stand our ground.
Okay.
And if it rains on us or snows on us, well, I'm going to stand here because I have a right to do that. Thank you. I believe, especially in this time of standing up for something.
Do you think you could try to see if that's going to work now? The YouTube, the YouTube. Could you see?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, let's see if we can do it. Let me set it up. Yeah, to go and see if it'll work. We're going to try, and to the audience, I could say Frank was down there at Zuccotti Park, not in a nice sunny day when everything's in order and everything like that, but in the midst of a terrible storm, and the people are there with their hoods and the rain's falling off, and it's cold and all of that. And what we got to realize.
Why are you here? And the people gave me great stories.
And they gave you stories, and you got to film.
I admire those people.
We're playing that a lot
I believe
here.
in it. We're all suffering.
And what it is summon the Valley Forge nature of the thing, where the people are. The people that would want this not to be addressed, they think they got all the answers, political, get somebody elected or something, but that they get support for the long haul, not just that they're just going to go away. And so what we're going to try and do is bring that up from YouTube, because he forgot to bring the tape, as it happens, but it's been played a good deal. He shot it down there with them. And Josh, if you can bring that tape up, just roll it in, and so we'll see if that will work or not. We're talking with Frank Craven, who's got a lot of ideas, as you can see, about the way the world should be and so forth. Comes from the distinguished family. But Josh,
yeah, my grandfather's on my dad on our town place. And they stream.
This is going to be a place where there's going to be a lot of. I think everybody here, as in the society, is in support of the Wall Street occupation. I've not found anybody who's not in support of it. Well, everybody's in support of it.
It's a dynamic shift of common. What's what we do at Public Access? We try to get the word out in the public and communicate with one another. The alternative viewpoint, the progressive thinking. So I was very stimulated intellectually and spiritually down there, and also music. They got drumming going on, and they got different committees you can join in.
So here we go. Let's see if what happens. Is it going to work or not? Somebody could come out and tell me if it's going to work, because it keeps going.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't
okay.
work.
Well, if you just go to YouTube, Waha explores Occupy Wall Street in the rain.
Okay, sorry.
And
it doesn't seem to work.
It's a nice little video I made, a program, one of my episodes on Friday nights at 9:30, Channel 34, What's Ailing Here in America.
Yeah.
And this is something that programming is rebroadcasting because they seem to like it.
It's like the Guernica. You know, they had a hell of a time getting Picasso to finally sign on to the Guernica, but then they get a thing. And when
the Nazis stormed his studio in Paris, the Germans said, "Did you do that?" He said, "No, you did."
Right. Well, you're an artist. You see that kind of thing. It's pretty obvious.
This is my Guernica.
That was for Pray for Iraq. Yeah.
I made thousands of postcards.
I know you've done
that. And posters. And I went down to Mexico as a Christmas gift last year, and they stopped by the sheriff and saying, "You passing out Arab literature? Terrorist." I said, "No, man, I'm an artist. I'm just, this is a pray for Iraq. Pray for Iraq. We pray for Jesus around here."
But that was wonderful.
Well, I pray for Jesus too.
That was a wonderful thing you did, where you made the thing with it, and it's where it was just the snow and everything was coming off them and everything, and it was like Valley Forge. Yeah. And the thing is, there's got to be support for them.
Right, these poor people, man, they're really committed to the truth. But think of soldiers in the trenches fighting for our freedom. That's why a lot of Iraqi veterans against the war down there too.
But I would go back to this idea that they're very wise in their thing. They're going horizontal. That's what they keep saying. They got that General Assembly. I'm glad that's on the internet. That can be linking into the world and everything like that.
Go to OccupyWallStreet.org.
But listen, Frank, they're going horizontal. And let me say something to you. They're going horizontal. They're going to be that'd be going out towards systems thinking on big terms, even on into the nature of the universe and so forth, so that you can get large patterns. Information overload is coming in every day over the transom, new developments.
Yeah, and there's a guy giving out free DVDs.
And information
on Zeitgeist Solution and all the other things.
The Zeitgeist and the Zeitgeist and what do you call it? That thing? Yeah, there's that kind of stuff. But it's going out, and so that's good. It's systems, comprehensive thinking rather than specialization. The intellectual community is made innocuous by being specialized out, or it can be seen. So they're reaching for a large pattern. That should be encouraged. That should really be encouraged at this time, because we need that, and we're going to get to some idea. And when you get to that, you're going to be able to come up with something. It would be like tensegrity, Fuller talked about. You got the large hole like this. 650 million years ago, it would be kind of flat. Uniform cellular unicellular spongiform with life was contained in, and then there came a thing going through it like this, right? And then it goes, and then it informs the whole at another level in evolutionary terms, and it informs the whole rather than one little male-like thing off this way, Hitler and Napoleon.
And we're all like replicas of each other. The cellular life form can reduce down to the same connected cell form.
It's a metaphor. It goes like that, and then it gets through. And what it wants to do is inform the whole. 100 trillion cells in a human organism.
Right.
You brought that up, and each one matters. So Gaia is a good idea, the idea of Lovelock, to where this is a thing, and you get to a pattern. What they're looking for, the whole of humanity, is the thing that informs the whole and lets everybody realize their whole potential. We have a unique capability for that through our technological extension, even as we have weapons that can wipe it all out at this time.
We're not going to pull the trigger on ourselves.
You don't know that. You can't say that. It's synergetic. It may be that's the way it's going to be. We're like in the birth canal, and we're about to come into a new relationship. It's
well, you can be a gun owner. You're not going to pull that gun out and shoot your head off.
Species.
We have bombs that can destroy the planet. We're not going to blow them off. It's not going to be allowed because higher intelligence and creative won't allow
what
it.
Higher intelligence?
This is sacred planet.
What's higher intelligence? There is no other higher intelligence you can repair to.
You think you're the most intelligent thing in the world? You're the only thing going on?
Evolution.
Why dare you, jerk?
Evolution can be understood.
We're part of the universe.
Evolution can be understood now in strictly materialistic terms, in terms of the nature of the universe and thermodynamics. We can understand it.
Different races.
But we don't understand anything. As much as we talk and think we know, we know nothing. Come on, Harold. We intelligent beings, high school graduates, college graduates, we're stupid. We don't know anything. Really. We're just beginning to wake up to reality of what we can really know.
There's a thing in evolution called punctuation.
All day, all week, occupy Wall Street. All day, all week, occupy Wall Street. All day, all week, occupy Wall Street.
And what brings you here?
Well, we saw on the news that a lot of people were getting beat up by cops for believing in something that, to me, has a valid argument. And we're here to change things, really.
So where are you from?
I'm from North Adams, Massachusetts.
Where are you girls from?
I'm from Pittsfield, Massachusetts.
Oh, really? You came from Massachusetts. How about you?
I'm from Amesbury, Massachusetts.
Wow.
From Long Island.
Long Island.
We're down a friend. One of our friends got arrested here today. One of our 19-year-old friends got arrested here today. It will be my 7th night.
7 nights and 7 days? Standing in solidarity.
Yeah.
Well, what do you have to say about it? What anecdote? What story? Why are you here?
I'm here because I think that the way that the financial system is set up right now, you have a supercharged profit motive because the corporations have to all compete with each other to be able to get investors. And so from that perspective, you have to keep unsustainable levels of growth and unsustainable levels of profit to be able to benefit. So you have to keep workers payments low. You have to keep environmental charges low. So it's not necessarily the corporation, but it's the way that the system is set up. So we need to change the system, and I think that this movement is going to be able to do that. So this is incredible, and I'm amazed to be a
It's good too because people are actually conversing and using their head with critical thinking.
Yeah, I agree. I've had so many conversations with all kinds of different people, and it's everything here from anarchy to people who just think that maybe we should just have Obama pass some sort of little something. So it's an interesting group of people, and the consensus system is really effective. So it's...
Well, like last night, there was a deluge. It was raining heavily. How did you weather the storm?
I was on the medic team, so I was up all night taking care of people, making sure they didn't get hypothermic. So we had hot chocolate, and we had chocolate